Okay, I'm here with Cian, and in this video we're going to go over how you can help your dog not be overstimulated or too excited for walks. Now, Cian here gets very excited when he gets the leash pulled out or the harness comes out. By the time he gets out the door, he has worked himself up in such a frenzy he can't listen to anything. He's a little bit reactive to dogs, and so if he sees a dog, he's already at like level 9, and so it's hard for him to control himself. So what we're going to do, and you can see he's panting a little bit. Now I'm not going to take it off because it's a carabiner. It's going to take a little time to put it on him. But let's say that right over here is where we normally keep the leash. This is normally not where it's at, but for the convenience of the shot, we're going to put the fence there. So what I would do is I would walk over to where it is, and then I would tell the dog to sit, and then I would reach this far. If the dog does, let's say I reach and I touch and he gets up. He's anticipating, this is classical conditioning. He's anticipating, you're about to pick up the leash and we're gonna go, you're gonna put it on, then we're gonna go outside and they're gonna see the dogs, and he gets himself all worked up. So what we do for this is a little bit of a counter conditioning and a little bit of a desensitization exercise. So what I would do is I'll go ahead and work over here. So we'll walk over and he's gonna recognize where the leash is if it's a normal position. So we get there, I say, sit, he sits or lays down. If he doesn't sit or lay down, provided the dog knows it, he is already so excited, he's not going to be able to listen any further. So if I pick up the leash and put it on him, I should expect my dog is not going to listen to me moving forward. So the tip for, one of the important tips for this is to practice this when you're not taking your dog out for a walk. So you walk over here, let's say that I can only reach this far without him getting up. If I reach this far, he gets up. So I would just walk away, wait for him to settle down, and then be mindful, I went 3/4 of a reach and that's when he got up. So now when we recreate it, I come over, I tell him to sit, he sits, I reach halfway, pull my hand back, and I say yes, and then I reach and give him a treat. And I want to do those in that order. I kind of did a poor job of demonstrating, so I'll kind of show you right here. Whoops, come here, buddy. Would you like some treats? Come here. So I'm going to walk over, tell him to sit, reach, pull my hand back, yes, then I reach and give him the treat. What I said before is I went, yes. See, I'm reaching here. I want to have what I call clean mechanics. So I want to not reach for my treat pouch before I finish saying the marker word yes. So eventually you're going to reach 1/4 of the way, halfway, 3/4 of the way. Eventually you can touch it. Eventually I touch it and lift it up an inch, put it back down, and he has to stay in a sit. Now if he gets up, worked up, it gets up and moves around or circles or whatever, he's saying I'm already starting to get so excited, I'm having difficulty controlling myself. And again, if he can't control himself inside, there's no way he's going to do it outside. Eventually, and this might take several practice sessions. Eventually, you come over here, tell him to sit, you pick up the leash, go this far towards him, put it back, yes, and give him the treat. And I'm going to show you an in-depth version of this on the door here in a second, but I want to just kind of go through this. Now, same sort of principle for the harness. You pick up the harness, he gets excited, put it back down. So you want to practice these things in maybe like 1-minute practice sessions, and then go back to watching TV. Strum the guitar, whatever it is you're doing. And so we're taking it out of context of the next thing that happens and helping him, just like my humans are weirdos. Sometimes they just like putting my harness on and taking it off and we don't do anything. Yes. When you can, and again, the tests are, can he sit and will he take a treat? If you won't do either one of those things, we know he's too stimulated. All right, so now this is the actual door that he exits the house. And so he gets very excited if I go ahead and open this door. The Guardians have already worked with him on this a little bit, but he usually is trying to DoorDash. So when you open the door...
Excuse me, just a warning, he can open that screen door.
Okay, thank you, good tip to know. All right, so when I'm doing this, I want to kind of be mindful of how the door is opening. Because when I do this, I usually like to put the dog in a position, and you can see he's panting a little bit. His mouth is open, he's already starting to get aroused, and he didn't even move towards the door. So when I do this, I want the dog to close the door, but I don't want them to have to move when I actually open the door. Cian, come. Sit. So now for this, the Guardians actually walk from where the couch is, which is where the camera is. So I'll recreate. So basically we walk over here, sit, then you come back here, reach a little bit and he doesn't get up, yes. And I go back and give him a reward. I'm rewarding him for not getting up, for doing what I'm asking him to do, stay seated. So that I can reach 3/4 of the way, and the Guardians have already done this a couple weeks ago. They haven't practiced, but we already see the great residual that he's at. So I can touch it, yes. I did poor mechanics there, so let me do a better job that one. So I'm going to touch it and make a little bit more noise. Pull my hand back, say yes, then I reach and give him the treat. And this one we have an extra bell. Yes, and he comes back and gets a treat. If you notice, he is not panting as much as he was before because we're not opening the door. Yes, kitty cat, you're not going to be able to go outside. So eventually I'm going to open it this much. Then I close it completely, say yes, or I come back to him, say yes, and give him that treat. Now, I'm going very accelerated in this video because the Guardians have already done it. At first, they were reaching halfway, 3/4 of the way, touching it, and jiggling it, making all the noises, and eventually open it an inch, close it, and then eventually you can do a little bit more. Yes. So you saw he was not anticipating going through the door. He was anticipating getting the treat because we're repeating a whole bunch of these in a row. Now, eventually you're going to open it to the point where you're going to open it all the way. Now we have another door. He's like, I can open this one. And then I'm going to close it back the way that it was. So I want to return it to what is neutral. Come back, yes, and give him the treat. All right, so eventually you're going to do the same thing with the screen door. Now, we're actually going to go outside and we'll probably see a little bit of a difference in his behavior. Now, the other thing is, same sort of thing. When I go over here, let's see how he does. Just picking up that leash, same principle. So sit, so now I come over, yes. Yes. You're going to give a lot of treats for this. That's normal. So he started to move his paw. He's getting close to his limit. So I'm going to back up. Yes, and when he was at his limit, I didn't mark and reward. I probably could have because he didn't technically get up, but I want to mark and reward the behavior that I'm looking for. Yes, didn't move his paw that time. Touch it. Paw, yes. Paw moving is okay. I'm all right, but it's an indication he's starting to move in that direction. So I might repeat that step. One finger. Yes. So remember, half of how dogs learn is not doing what you want, yes, and not being marked and rewarded. So because I didn't mark and reward when he moved his paws, yes, I'm able to communicate to him that's not what I want. So then I can pick it up just a little bit, put it back down, yes. And again, now the anticipation is to get the treat. Again, you saw that little bit of listing behavior. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these steps because this is already a long video and it'll take a little bit longer. And that's a good thing for me to communicate. This is something you shouldn't expect to do in one video. The Guardians have already practiced this, even though I haven't practiced for a couple weeks. We have some residual. So I practice maybe 1 minute at a time, 3, 5, 10 minutes, 10 times a day. It depends on how worked up your dog gets. If your dog gets super excited, you may only be able to do it once a day. But eventually you can do it 2 or 3 times. You go at the dog's pace, not at our pace. Do we have to worry about the cat going anywhere? No. Okay. So now I can pick up the leash. Yes, but you see the mouth open, he's breathing a little bit. Now I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to be using a clicker for this. Marker words are great, but I like using a clicker when we're doing things outside for excitable dogs because you see, that sound is much more distinct and he is able to hear it. Now I do practice something called training for attention. So now I can pick it up, sit, I can use yes or the clicker, but now I'm combining 2 things. It's not just the leash, it's not just the door, now it's the door, both of them together. Yes. Although I could have just clicked, I had the clicker in my hand. Not even looking at the door. Yes, that's what we're looking for. All right, so let's move it over here. Be good camera presence. So. I didn't teach him to do that. He learned that one on his own. All right, but he did move, so I'm not going to reward because that's the sort of thing that he didn't do anything intentional, but that can be serendipity and confusing for him. All right, so now I'll do it again. Open it. Now I'm also, when I'm opening the door, I'm going to move my feet. And again, it's a process. This gets really boring to watch after a while, I'm sure, but I'm a cat. I'm going to do whatever I want. All right, so now, sit. Now you see he's a little excited, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat that step. Is there anything wrong with what he did? No. But his excitement is a little high, and I want to take him outside and have him be able to listen to me. Sit. Anxiety shake off. That can be a way of releasing anxiety or stress or trust. Now I dropped it, so you saw he's a little bit excited. So we stop. We go back to neutral. Sit. Now a lot of us were like, he's being mean to the dog. I'm not being mean. There's a difference between excitement and happiness. They can be both at the same time, but a lot of times they're excited because, and I'll show you why. Come here, buddy. Sit. I'll stand in here so you can see. This mouth position, this is called anthropomorphization. A lot of us see this mouth and we say, oh, he's smiling, he's happy, he's excited. And so his mouth is open to help him breathe better. So I'm pretty sure he's happy as well. But again, don't always confuse those things. All right, so now I can open it all the way. Sit. I'm going to make sure I'm secure. And I usually like to hold the leash and the clicker in the same hand, so my other hand is free for my treats. That time you stayed seated. See, so you get a treat for that one. In an awkward position. But this gives me a chance to look out the door first to make sure there's no other dogs here. He is a little dog reactive. All right, come. Sit. That was bad mechanics on my part. Now when I go through the door, I'm going to have you come through and hold it open, and the camera person is going to come and stand right here. I'm going to show you a little bit of some tricks we'll do right outside. I'm going to adjust my clicker a little bit. All right. Go ahead, and if you can come and open the door. Just stay right there with the camera if you could. Just keep the door open. I know it's a nice day. Relatively nice. Hey. See how he's already having difficulty listening to me? You can take a couple steps back if you need to. Come here, Cian. So I'm moving closer to the door. Cian. Cian. So what we'll do is keep the door open if you could. Go ahead and walk back. Cian. Come on. Come on. Sit. Up. All right, what I was hoping to do is go outside, and you can go ahead and come back inside, because he's demonstrating that although he was great in here, as soon as we went through that threshold, he was excited. What I was going to demonstrate is just going one step outside. It's kind of hard to do with the door. One step outside, sit, and then I might walk right back in, have him sit here, click and treat, and ebb and flow, walk back and forth. And then eventually maybe I have 2 steps out there. Tell him to sit, click, come back inside. So again, just like the desensitization process, just because we're outside does not mean we're going to the sidewalk. We're not going to Elmwood Park. We're just going to go 2 steps and turn around and come back inside. And eventually you get down, to your walkway. Eventually you're down to the street. But anytime he can't sit, can't listen to you, he's communicating that he's too worked up. It's difficult for him to listen. And if I leave that door open, I'll probably be a little backlit. Now this is a tremendous workout for your dog. Even though it doesn't really look like he's doing anything, this is a very intense experience for him. After I leave, he's going to be zonked out. So obviously we'd like to take him out for a walk. It's spring, it's nice weather, and eventually we'll get there. But it might be the point where you're doing this exercise and you're only getting to the corner and turn around and come back here. You might have your whole walk just ebbing and flowing back and forth, but we're always going to return back to an environment where he's nice and relaxed until he demonstrates that I can be outside for the whole time and I'm paying attention to you. Now the last little trick I'm going to go over that'll help you guys when you're actually on walks is a little find it cue. So let's lure him over here. So when I'm walking, every time that he pays attention to me, I give him a treat. So if he's looking at everything else, he's not paying attention to you. So I have my treat pouch open. He looks at me. I'm not telling him to look at me, but when he chooses to, I'm ready. I'm marking and rewarding him. Now, so this is one of the things that I do, and now you're picking up on it, so I'm going to stop rewarding that. But again, every time he looks at you, say your marker word or click, and I like using the marker word outside, the clicker outside because it's more distinct. I also sometimes play the find it game. Let's say that this carpet here is grass. Find it. Find it. Now, he can get it really easy because that carpet is not difficult, but if it's grass, he's got to go digging into it using his nose. So when you're on a walk with him, if there's another dog coming, you can start doing the find it game. The other dog walks across the street. He might not even see it because he's more engaged in wanting to get the treats. Now this is a little bit of a maintenance management technique, so we're just kind of helping him not focus on the other thing. But I do this with my dog Quest, who has a similar issue to him. He's very stimulated outside. So we're walking about every 3 paces. I do a find it there on this grass. Move over here, find it there. And so gradually, Quest is like looking at me more often. First I was rewarding the check-ins. Now he's looking at me, and when he looks at me, then I throw another treat. And as the walk, he's checking in with me as opposed to looking for the other dog. He's a little bit jealous of other dogs and some other stuff. So these are other little tips that you can use when you finally are able to get walking around. But your ultimate litmus test, can he sit? Can he take a treat? Anytime he can't do that, back yourself up to a place that's a little bit less stimulating so he can actually understand. All right, come here, buddy. Come here. Well, this is my buddy Cian, and these are some tips and tricks you can do if you have a dog that gets super excited for walks.